Hey everybody, John with Owl, and I've done some videos on here including, 5 things you should know if you bought a Sprinter van and the 5 first mods you should do to a Sprinter van. And those videos have been so popular that I want to share some more tips and tricks with everyone because we work on Sprinters every day, we adventure in Sprinters every day, and if there's a problem to be had, we've probably had it. In today's video, we're going to talk about a few items that can save you a lot of money. They're little things, but if they go sideways, it's going to cost you big. I've got a couple of things lined up on the back of our Sprinter, and I'm going to talk to you a little about them. First and foremost, the windshield. If you have spent any time in a Sprinter van, you know that the windshield is magnetic. Now, it's not actually magnetic, but it's magnetic for chips and dings. Anyone that's owned a Sprinter has gone through replacing their window. In fact, I get so tired of it, I don't even bother anymore. There's, I really don't know if you can see it right here. Anyway, I have a chip in my window at the moment, and I think this is the third windshield on this van. The pain about new vehicle windshield replacements is that they have to recalibrate the sensors and all this stuff, so it's not only costly, but it takes time, it can interrupt your trip. So the key to windows and window chips is stopping it from cracking. Now, if I take you guys over here to one of our Transits, we just replaced this window, and it's obviously a problem for Transits as well. We just replaced this window, and the first day that we replace it, we get a chip here, and it runs all the way along directly in front of the driver. So that's neat. Anyway, chips turn into cracks, and so what you want to do is minimize the chance of that chip turning into a crack. And how do we do that? Well, we get it filled. So you have a couple of options here. This chip that happened on my window, it was small, but I immediately had it filled. And by what I mean by immediately, I was on the freeway, it chipped. I literally looked up on my phone, where is the nearest window glass replacement place, and by the time I got off the freeway, a previous window, by the time I got off the freeway at the next exit where there was a safe light, the window had gone all the way across, and I think it's above a 6-inch crack. It's not repairable. So what you need to do if you get a chip is, my advice is, pull over somewhere safely and remedy it yourself. This is the Rain-X window repair kit. This is the first item that I think you should carry with you because windows are thousands and thousands of dollars, and even if you have free window replacement, in Arizona where we're located, it mandates insurance covers free window replacement. It's still a pain. The van has to go in, they have to calibrate. It's a pain. So this doesn't take long. There are videos on how to use it. I might do a video on how to use it when I get a new chip, because the chip we have is already filled. Not that difficult, and this is going to stop, it's going to make the chip less visible, and it's going to stop the whole window from cracking, theoretically. In my experience, it works quite well. So learn to deal with some small chips in your window and just hope they don't turn into cracks. That's item number 1. Now we're going to move on to item number 2. I wouldn't necessarily say this one is so costly, but it can be if you need a tow, and that is cold weather and diesel gelling. So anytime that the temperature gets below 10 to 15 degrees Fahrenheit, I don't know, I think that's like negative 12-ish Celsius for anyone that uses a better measuring system than we do here, your diesel can gel, and if it gels, it ain't gonna run, and it can gel in the fuel system and in the tank. So this is Diesel 911. It's not the only option, it's just a popular option. So this is an additive that you can put into your diesel fuel. If you're going skiing or going anywhere to cold weather, go ahead and pick up some Diesel 911. In my opinion, certain things that are small like this, pick it up, throw it in the Owl box, product placement, on the back of your van, and always have it available. So you know, if you're going skiing or into the winter, you can put in some additive and keep your fuel from gelling. So important item to have here. Now, we are going to move on to, hold on, rats. Did I do that? Was that weird? Anyway, when I was a kid, I used to do that in class. I thought it made me look weird. Anyway, sorry, this is a serious video. Rats love chewing wiring, and vans, a lot of these vans, although you can daily drive them, they don't get daily driven. because most of the people that have these vans also have a smaller car that they use on a day-to-day basis. So when you're not using your van, you probably park it. And just about everywhere in the US, there are rats. Now, they're not necessarily as big as dogs like New York City, but they get into your engine bay, and the coating on wiring actually has a bit of a sweet taste to it. So what happens is the rats decide, this wiring looks delicious. And anyone that knows anything about flood cars and wiring harness issues is you can total out a vehicle very, very fast if you destroy the wiring harness, because the wiring runs underneath everything in these vehicles. And there's so much technology that if you get a wiring harness that's destroyed, it could total your van. And so you want to take some precautions against rodents if you do park the van for a long period of time. This includes inside your garage. There are lots of different options out there. Some people say like peppermint oil or something like that. Other people have all kinds of tips and tricks, and you can look on the internet for which one you prefer best. I ordered these on Amazon. These are, I believe they're kind of ultrasonic noise emitters, and lots of folks, they have good reviews. Lots of folks say these work pretty well. The pack I bought from Amazon comes with 2, and what you're going to want to do is they come with batteries, and so you do have to replace the batteries from time to time. There we go. So you see all of these wires in here. Stuff like this is dinner to a rat. And so you can take these and they zip tie just about anywhere. You can drill into plastic. You can find any place that you want to zip tie these things. There's 2 of them, so I would put them kind of down low where the rats come in, but also up here where your wiring is. And hopefully that will stop any rodents from destroying your wiring harness and destroying your adventure. Actually, I can go ahead and close this. Better. The last thing I want to talk about today is, well, actually, I take that back. There are 2 last things. We're going to talk differentials. You don't really need to know much about differential to know about what I'm about to show you. The differentials on Mercedes-Benz. Oh, shoot. Well, I forgot this has an owl axle. I'll walk over to this van. By the way, one of the best looking NCV3s that's ever come through here. Really, really good looking van. All right, so now we can see it. We can really get under here. Okay, I do this for you people. I'm on my belly getting nice and dirty. This is your differential cover. And you'll notice this kind of flat spot here. Now that's actually from the factory, but the other thing you'll notice if you run your hand along this is that this diff cover actually sticks out a little bit from the actual differential housing. And there's a problem that can arise. This is not a jack point. On most vehicles, you can jack up a vehicle from the center of the diff. This is not true on a Mercedes. What will happen is this will crinkle back, diff fluid will spill out, and while you can pound it back into place, you're gonna have to refill your diff fluid and you're gonna have issues, and if it happens out on the trail, it might ruin your day. This is why we highly, highly, highly recommend getting a diff skid plate. They're not very expensive, but they are great insurance. However, if you don't have a diff skid plate, make sure that every time you take it in for an oil change or a tire rotation or any shop that's not Mercedes, that doesn't typically work on these vans, do not, or notify them to not jack up the van on the diff. It will destroy your differential cover. Most vehicles, this is not, as I crawl out, a problem, because most differentials have a smaller differential cover than they do the diff. So you can see on ours, as I crawl under here again, this black you can see sticks out below the blue, and it's also much thicker. So that is why this is an issue on Sprinters, but not most other vehicles. You just have to know it, and then you'll be fine. On to one of the last items here that I want to talk about as far as repair bills, and that is the rear shock bolt. So I'm going to start with a van that does not have a Baja bracket on it, so I can show you what I'm talking about. Walking back here, these are customer vans. Let's take a look. That one does not have it, nor does that one. Okay, this van is dirty. folks, not shaming the customer, but when you bring your van in to get work done, don't bring it in like this. Nobody wants to work on this van. Look at this. Anyway, I can't even really show you this, but this right here is your upper shock bolt. I don't know if you guys can see in there. Right here is your upper shock bolt. And if this were clean, then you'd be able to mark it. And what you don't want is this to get loose. And the problem that happens is this is a single shear bolt and mount. So what happens is the bolt goes in. Let me set you down for a second so I can demo this. So what happens is, if I'm the frame or the unibody, the bolt goes in like this, and then that shock works on that bolt up and down like this. There's nothing supporting the other side of that bolt. In the defense of the Sprinter, it was designed as an on-road vehicle for the most part. It's us crazy folks that decide to take these things and four-wheel the heck out of them. And that rear shock bolt and how it installs into the unibody wasn't really ever designed for that constant loads of hitting dirt and potholes and all those things at high speed, as it's just a lot more force than you get on the road. So what's the solution? Well, there's a couple solutions. One, you don't want it to get loose. That's where this comes in. This is an automotive paint marker pen, and I can show you on my van in a second what this looks like. But basically what you do is you draw across the bolt. I'm not going to do that on anyone's van right now, but let's say that this bolt right here was critically important to not coming loose. What you want to do is take your paint pen and you draw a line on the bolt and then onto the surface behind it. And that way, if those lines ever become out of alignment, you then know that the bolt has backed off and it's time to tighten it. A lot of folks will do it with lugs. This one has it. There's nothing on the rim, but at least you can kind of take note and see if those back out. Better than just marking that bolt is installing a double shear bracket. For us, that's the Baja bracket. So I'm gonna walk over to the other side of this van. It's in the shade so you can see a little bit better. And there is a perfect example of what a double shear bracket looks like with paint pens. So this got installed into the unibody, and notice how it's got support. I'll try to get you in there. It's got support on the back side of the bolt, and it's got support on this side of the bolt. And then you've also got this that is going to stop that bolt from rotating. And you've also got the paint pens to see that none of the bolts have loosened since we installed that. And what happens is, the reason this is actually a really good insurance policy against something bad going wrong is, if that bolt should break, it's not just a matter of having a spare bolt. The bolt snaps off in the unibody, and it is time consuming and a pain in the you-know-what to get out. And it could very easily end your adventure. So do me a favor, even if you don't upgrade your suspension, which you absolutely should, not because we sell it, even if you go with a different brand, the suspension upgrades on these vans make a huge difference. But if you upgrade your suspension, and even if you don't, go ahead and get a Baja bracket, a double shear bracket, because it's going to save you from having an issue with the bolt. A lot of folks like to blame the bolt thing. They go, oh, somebody installed the suspension and didn't torque it down or what. No, this happens on factory installed suspensions as well. It has a lot more to do with how we're using the vans than it does with the actual installation of the bolt. So regardless of the situation, it's a little bit of insurance. You've got a $200,000+ van, a couple $100 to get a bracket that's going to make you allow you to continue your adventure safely for a long time is good insurance. So hopefully those items that we talked about make sense, and it's a good way for you to save yourself from getting a big repair bill on your Sprinter van, and it will allow you to be a little bit more in the know when it comes to the different issues that crop up around your Sprinter van. So hopefully this was helpful, and if you want to watch our other videos, we've got 5 mods that are good to do to your Sprinter van, 5 other items you should know about your Sprinter van, and I've got another video where I'm going to talk about some other tips and tricks for the Sprinter, so you can check that out on our YouTube channel. If you like and subscribe, then you'll get notified when these videos are out. Hopefully you found that helpful.